Hello there, welcome back to the channel. My name is Carrie with bluescitypickin, and if you're new here, I am a part-time reseller who goes around to garage sales, estate sales, thrift stores, etc. to find things to flip for a profit on eBay and only eBay. We are back with another What's Sold. This is Ching number 63. This is what's sold from September 4th through the 7th, though a Thursday through Sunday. All in all, pretty decent sales. Had a rough day in there where I was like, I wonder if I'll sell something today or not. But that's not all that surprising right now. You can tell that eBay's doing something. Like this morning when I was trying to do my listings, my app on my phone just totally kept crashing out every time I would try to add pictures to a listing. So not sure what they're doing right now, but hopefully they get it done pretty soon. And then my sales today were fine. So whatever they were doing didn't affect my sales today. Let's see, we had $743.91 in gross sales. So that is the total sales number that you would see on the eBay app. If you pulled it up and we're trying to see your last 90-day sales, that's the number that would contribute to that. The price that I agreed to pay with the buyer, so this excludes taxes and shipping, is $555.51. I had $111.64 into these items, and so I made $349.28. Hang on, somehow my margin got that. And that is a 62.9% margin, which is absolutely amazing. So I'm super happy with that. I did sell 25 items over those 4 days, which is great. My goal would have been 20. I like to list 5 and sell 5 on average every day. So super happy with that. I had something that I only made $1.85 on, but I had for 466 days, so I'm glad that is gone. But then I had something that I made almost $50 on. So my average profit per item this week was $13.97, which is almost exactly where I want to be. Let's see, I had something that sold the same day I listed it, and that was today. I'm actually filming this the evening of the 7th, so I might sell some more things today, but I'll put that in my next What's Sold. I had something that I had for 466 days, and then my average was 151. So moving out some older things. So super duper happy with this week's sales. Several 400 day items in here. Some of these I had recently ended and sold similar. I know there's been a lot of topics of discussion on that recently, given the eBay stance that they took at the Las Vegas convention, but I don't do it excessively. I maybe do 5 to 10 items a couple times a week. So, and usually at least one of those or 2 of those will sell in the next month before I do it again. So I think it works, gets new eyes on it, fresh listings and all that jazz. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this. First thing sold was a set of 6 vintage brass candlesticks. They were graduated. There were supposed to be 7 in the box, but there were 6. I picked these up at an estate sale just a couple weeks ago for $2. They sold for $24, and so I made $16.03 after just 2 days. Let's see. Give me just 1 second. I'll be right back. Back in a jiffy. It was like I wasn't even gone. Next up is a Resistol black tooled leather belt. It was Western. It had conchos in it. It did not have a buckle. It was a size 38. I picked this up for $3 in a estate sale back in June. I got an offer for $14, which I just went ahead and accepted and made $9.28 after 71 days. Next item is a cashmere pink duster long cardigan sweater. It did have a couple of holes in it, but I went ahead and picked it up anyway just because it was a pretty substantial piece and they were pretty small holes, and it actually had the thread where you could fix the holes still attached to the duster. So I don't think it was ever worn. I paid $5.80 for this at an estate sale back in July. I got an offer for $35, which I went ahead and accepted and made $21.89 after 12 days. Next is that lovely 466-day item, and actually the lowest profit of the week. This was a Stone Mountain Pebble Leather Talia tote bag, zip top tote. It was new with tags, and the retail on it was $169. I paid $7.99 for this at a regular Goodwill back in February of 2024. So I've had it for a long time. I got an offer for $8, which I accepted. I made a little bit on shipping, which means that I made $1.85 after 466 days. I did learn my lesson about Stone Mountain after I picked this up, so I do not pick up Stone Mountain anymore, not even if the style is right. I just can't get it to move for me. Next up is a Lennox color changing Christmas tree. I did test it and it did work. I paid 88 cents for this at the bins back in April. It sold for $14.75, and so I made $9.82 after 146 days. Next item is a Uncanny X-Men comic lot. It was a run of, I think, 8 or 9, plus an extra one from 1987. I had $10 into this lot from Whatnot. I bought them back in, it says April, but I think I've had them longer than that. I've been really slow in listing them. Things I've learned, I don't enjoy listing comics. I got an offer for $30, which I accepted, so I made $14.95 in just 14 days. Next is a Bulwark Excel fire-resistant heavy jacket. It was a size large. I paid $11.54 for this at a regular Goodwill back in June. It sold for $49, and so I made $27 and a penny after just 24 days listed. Next up is a Master's hat. When I got this one home, it was a little bit dirtier than I thought, and I couldn't really get it clean. I paid $1 for it at the bins just a few weeks ago. I went ahead and accepted an offer for $5.50, and so I made $3.02 after just 6 days. Next item is a Unisa Brown leather crossbody bag. It was definitely vintage 90s Y2K ostrich western. I did pay $5 for this in a estate sale in June of 2024. Got an offer for $12, and I said okie dokie, and I let her go, and I made $4.33 after 426 days. Not sure why this one didn't sell. One of those strange things that you just go back and you're like, I'm not sure why. Next is a lot of mid-century ornament kit, beads, sequins, etc. I picked these up at an estate sale just a few weeks ago. Same place I picked up those brass candlesticks. I had $2 into these. They sold for $19, and so I made $14.39 after just 17 days. That estate sale was like a crafter's dream. No joke. And I have a couple more things that I sold from that estate sale too coming up, I think. Next item is a 5 Night at Freddy's Foxy. I think this was Nightmare Foxy from 2016. Picked this up at the bins, have $1 cost of goods into it. It sold for $9.95, and so I made $10.73 after 93 days. Next up is an item I picked up at the bins the exact same day. This was a Levenger bomber jacket circa Zip Pro folio, nylon, and leather. $1 cost of goods, sold for $15, and so I made $11.63 90 days after it listed. If you've never heard of Levenger, I encourage you to take a look at some of their products. I found this folio along with several others and a Toomey in a stack at the bins. It had to have been a raw donation that had just come in off of somebody's garage sale that didn't sell. So I picked them all up and put them right in my cart. Next up is a vintage green cozy teapot. It was insulated, MCM, wooden handle. It was really cute. So it was just a cream colored teapot, but the cozy that went on top was super cute. I paid, $3.12 for this at a regular Goodwill back in January. It sold for $21.56, and so I made $15.45 after 218 days. That was something I thought would sell faster, but once again, I don't know. Next up is a Busia Literal Explorer stamped quilt top cross stitch kit. I picked this up at that estate sale that I got the sequins and the candlesticks from. $2 cost of goods that day. It sold for $10, and so I made $5.99 after 16 days. Next is a lot of 3 Lego Duplo Disney Pixar cars. It had the Sheriff, Chug, and a Radiator Springs sign. Had a $1 cost of goods in this at the bins. It sold for $8.50, so I made $4.96 in just 4 days. Next is another really long tail sale. This is a couple of Barney figures. It was a Baby Bop ballerina, and then I think 2 Barneys. Had nothing into this because I picked it up with a Barney schoolhouse that has already sold that I gave the entirety of the cost of goods to. I got an offer for $5. I said okay. So I made $3.41 after 465 days. Next up, a Rosalind Carlton Varney Design serving bowl from Japan. I bought this in July of 2024. I paid $3.50 for it. It sold for $10, and so I made $2.59 after 425 days. Wouldn't pick that up again. Next is some Atari parts. These are some new old stock 4 replacement retaining rings for the Atari joystick. 10 cents into these from a Whatnot auction back in December. They sold for $9.90, and so I made $6.85 after 269 days. Next is one of my better sales of the week. This is a Gemmy Halloween 7.5-foot vulture on a tombstone. Moved head, it was inflatable, and it worked. I paid $17.20 for this at a Goodwill back in February. It sold for $59, and so I made $35.26 after 183 days. Next is a pair of vintage Mossy Oak men's pants. They were a size extra large. I did pay $11.52 for these at a local thrift store back in January. I would have expected they had sold by now. I'm not sure why. I got an offer for $35, which I did accept, and so I made $15.87 after 247 days. Next is my best sale of the week. This is a 6 sets and then some extras of Reed and Barton stainless. This was the Tuckahoe pattern. I paid $5.34 for these at a regular Goodwill back in March. They sold for $63.75, and so I made $48.89 after 156 days, and I'm super happy about that. Another nice sale that I've just been this has been in my death pile for a while, or my profit pile, I think is what the Rebel reseller calls it. But I was finally just list it. So this was a large lot of G.I. Joe weapons, accessories, things like that I had picked up at a Whatnot auction last November. I had one piece in that accessory buy that paid for the entirety of the buy. So I assigned $10 cost of goods to this large lot. It sold for $49 within an hour of me listing it, which makes me think I underpriced it, but maybe not, because I got an offer for 30 something and then it sold for full price. So I think I might have just had the right buyers come in at the right time, either that or maybe I should have gone a little higher. But I made $33.23 within an hour of it listing, and it's not just sitting in my profit pile anymore. Next up is a vintage crochet set of 4 placemats. These were super cute. I actually picked these up in a estate sale back in March. I bought 12 of them, so I have 8 left if you're interested. I paid $1 a piece for them. So $4 into this set. They sold for $12.95, so I made $6.82 after 156 days. Next is a pumpkin bowl with lid trinket dish thing. It was really cute. I paid $1.53 for this at a regular Goodwill last December. Got an offer for $10, which I just went ahead and accepted because I've had for a long time. And so ironically, I made $6.66 on it after 249 days, like I said. And then last but certainly not least is a pair of Clark's shoes. These, I don't normally pick up Clark's, but these particular ones were in really nice condition and I picked them up at the bins. So I only had about $1 into these just a few weeks ago. They sold for $24.65 and so I made $18.37 after just 13 days. This was more of like a vintage style, so that's why I'm going to pick them up. I just thought they were super cute and that they would sell. And this is one time where my instincts were actually correct. They're not right that often. I'm just kidding. They're right at least 50% of the time. But I have a lot of not so great sales just along with my good sales. I mean, as you see, it kind of runs the gamut. But I've learned a lot in the almost 2 years that I've been doing this, like officially without just selling stuff out of my house, which is what I had been doing for the 3-4 years before that. This is when last year at the beginning of 2024 is when I really started going out and buying things to deliberately try to flip for a profit, as opposed to just selling things that we had in our house that we either had no longer had interest in or didn't need anymore. So learned a lot. Every sale is a bit of knowledge packed away in my brain. All right, where did things come from that we sold and made money on? 56% of my profits came from Goodwill, 24% from estate sales, 16% from Whatnot, because I actually had a couple Whatnot sales between the comics and the G.I. Joe accessories. And then 5% from other. Let's see, this week we had 50% of our profits coming from household goods, which includes kitchen items and decor, mainly because of the Jemmy Vulture, the silverware, the what else did I have in there? The candlesticks. There were a bunch of really nice sales in the household area. And then 29% from clothing, shoes, and accessories, and about 21% from toys and collectibles. This week I had 16 bread and butter sales, and I define bread and butter as I made $15 in profit or less, and most of the time those items, they sell from somewhere between like $8 and $12 is kind of the bread and butter range. Like if you think about plushies, like that Five Nights at Freddy's plush. I mean, I made $10 on it. Like it's a $10 bill. I'm not gonna not pick that up just because it's beneath my goal of $15 profit per item. Same with like the Masters hat. If I could have gotten it clean, I would have made another $5 on that. And who's gonna leave $8 to $10 just sitting there when it's super easy? And I was already doing some other cleaning because I had picked up a pretty large vintage children's clothing lot a few weeks ago. Have I sold any of that yet? I don't know. I think I've listed a few pieces. I haven't listed a lot of it. I'm still like getting through it. It was quite a lot. I bought a big lot of vintage children's clothes, a fairly decent sized lot of stuffed animals, and then a fairly large lot of dolls and like Barbie things. Like the Barbie lot did not end up panning out the way I hoped it would. So at this point, I'm just kind of hoping I get to recoup my money on it. But the vintage clothes lot is going to really pay off well. So I still am kind of looking at that auction buy as like an average cost of goods of like $1 or $2 per item. So I'm not concerned with spending a bunch of money on the Barbie lot and not being able to recoup it. I'm going to get my money back and a lot more than that. So I had some good buys out of that auction, even though the Barbie one was not one of them. Let's see. This week I actually had one auction pickup. It was a set of like some vintage toys that I picked up, one being like this Little Tikes truck ride-on that's worth about 60 to 75, and then there was also a Weebles ride-on that was in there, and I think those are probably the only two I'm gonna list. I already took one piece to the Goodwill because it was missing so many parts and components. Now that I think of it, I probably should have pulled one or two of those parts off before I sent it off, but you know, whatever. I paid like $12, and hey, maybe somebody will find it at the Goodwill and enjoy it. Yeah, so all in all, not a bad 4 days. If you add it up with what I had sold the prior, I think 3 days, I had $650 in profit over that whole week, which is amazing for me. And it looks like I sold about 50 items, 49 items, with an average profit of like right around $13 to $14, which is amazing for me. I'm super happy with that. I also hit like a really big milestone on my eBay store this week. Just like maybe a month ago, I had where it hit 15,000 as my average 90-day sale total. And then today it hit 17. So I'm doing something right. I'm super pleased with the results. I'm still only spending, you know, maybe 10 to 15 hours a week on this. This last week, I did not spend much time at all, only the shipping, because I had spent like almost a full day's worth of work, or like 6 or 7 hours like the weekend before, like really chugging through a lot of listings. So basically the last week, really all I've been doing is just hitting list out of my draft bank and shipping. So, and I also didn't source too much either. Like I think I spent like an hour sourcing this week at most. So look, that's the perks of being part-time, is when you have more time, you can lean into it. When you don't, you don't. Do I ever think I'd go full-time? No. I have a very nice full-time job, great benefits and things like that. So anytime anybody's ever asked me, do I think I would do this full-time? The answer is no. And I actually like my job. So there's that. This is just a nice hobby to channel my shopping powers for good and not evil, because I do like to shop. And in this, I'm kind of impulsive at times. My ADHD makes me impulsive. So, you know, this helps with my impulsivity, because if I buy something, then I can just sell it if I don't end up needing it, wanting it, or liking it. So anyway, I hope you all's sales are doing just as well. Let me know in the comments how things are going. I am almost at 1,000 subs. I put out 3 videos a week. So if you like reseller content, I would really appreciate your thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye.